Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining me. Today we're studying the last portion of the book of Genesis, Vaychi, and I'm studying based on the third talk of selections from Likutei Sichos, the Rebbe's talk. A short introduction. We're not going to read from the text today. We're going to go by heart, but I'm going to show you where it's in the sections that I'm talking about. We read about the last years of Yaakov. How old was Yaakov, Jacob, when he died? 147. How many years did he live in Egypt? 17 years. And towards the end of his life, he calls Joseph, his son, the leader of Egypt, and he's asking him for first he lets him know that he had to bury his mother, Rachel, on the road. But he's asking that upon his demise, his body should be taken to Hebron, to Israel, to the Holy Land, to be buried there. He also gives them the order by which the coffin or the stretcher, the bed, the body should be carried. Which one of the children should be? Why is it significant? Because there are 12 sons. Each one has a different opinion. And also it will determine the future when the Jewish people are traveling from Egypt back to the Holy Land as a camp, the camp with millions of people, the way they should surround the holy tabernacle. The tabernacle the bed, his coffin resembles the tabernacle. And the way they were carrying the stretcher, that's how they're going to travel with the Mishkan, with the tabernacle. Then Yaakov turned to the children and he gathers all 12 of them. By this time, they are all holy people. They repented for all their misdeeds, and he wants to bless them each. And each blessing he applied to one, as applied in general to all of them. We read about the specific nature of each one. Many of them are compared to animals. One is compared to a snake, another to a donkey, a third to a wolf, a fourth to an ox, a fifth one was to a deer, and probably there was a lion, Judah. So six of them are compared to animals. Most of them are not kosher, but they have positive traits that are applied to the tribe. Before he starts the blessings, Yaakov summons the children and he says to them, gather together and I would let you know what the end of days will be like. Tell us Rashi, based on the Talmud, that he wanted to reveal to them when Moshiach will arrive, the ultimate of the purpose of our life, to bring the world back to this perfect state which God created for. And God didn't like it and made it disappear from him. So instead he gave them blessings. But the original desire for Yaakov was to let them know when Moshiach will arrive, when there will be the final redemption, the end of all the toil and hardship that the Jewish people are going through the ages. So I'm going to read just the beginning and then we're going to go through the questions and the discussion. On the verse, Yaakov called to his sons and said, gather together and I'll tell you what will happen to you at the end of days. Our sages comment in the Talmud, Psachim. Yaakov sought to reveal to his sons when the end of days would arrive, but the divine presence withdrew from him. Yaakov's contact raises a question. The rabbi is asking the following question. I'm going to go over without reading the text. I think you will be able to connect with it better. The rabbi says, what happened here that Yaakov wanted to and God did not want? Yaakov was a holy man, which every part of his life is correct. Yaakov was part of the chariot of God. Ezekiel prophesies is made out of 4 legs. 4 legs represented by 4 different kings. The lion, the eagle, an ox, and a man. The man is the face of Yaakov. Yaakov is the chariot of God, even though Abraham and Yitzchak are also considered chariots, but he is represented as one of the legs. Meaning, what does a chariot represent? A chariot is a behavior, a conduct that follows the rider, the one in the conductor. In other words, they have no will of their own. They never deviate from the desire. So Yaakov's entire life was perfect. There is nothing about Yaakov's life that can be defined as something that he did on his own and God didn't want. And therefore, if he wanted to reveal the end of days, it means that he wanted to do something right. And then God said, no, I'm not going to reveal. In addition, says the Rebbe, that the Talmud tells us, or the commentators tell us, that in two ways, what does it mean that God did not want? One is that God made them forget the days. God made them forget it, meaning not only the children did not know it, but also Yaakov forgot. Another interpretation, another commentator explained, Yaakov knew, but the divine presence departed. It says over there that God, he wanted to reveal, but the divine presence departed from him. When the divine presence departed from him, he realized that God does not want him to reveal, which means only the tribes would know. It's not good for them to know, but he knew the end of days, and for him it was okay. Says the Rabbi, according to this interpretation that he knew, but he did not want to reveal, what is this exchange? There must be a good reason to reveal, and there must be that for that time it is inappropriate to reveal to the children, especially to the second one, that Yaakov is not himself forgot. God made him forget. It means that it's not good even for Yaakov. The second point, the Rebbe says, I don't understand. We know that the end of days would take thousands of years because today Moshiach did not arrive yet. What do you mean revealing to the children the end of days? Revealing children the end of days meaning he will get them to be despaired, to get to a state of despair. Nobody, if they are told that they're going to be enslaved and there will be pogroms and there will be murder and there will be rapes and atrocities against the Jewish people for how long? For 3,000 years already, 3,000, 500, 600, 700 years. How is it possible that Yaakov wanted to reveal it to them? It's obvious God did not want them to know, because if they would know, they would fall in despair and they will not serve God. So some explain that he wanted to reveal only to the children. His children were so holy that he knew that letting them know the end of days will not cause them to despair, but not the rest of the families. Says the Rebbe, first, but there must be a purpose. What's the purpose then? Second, it's impossible to expect something to reveal to 12 sons that will not spread out. Some of them will have to speak up, right? We know that, right? So again, the question is, what is the Hava Amina? Hava Amina, what's the first mindset of Yaakov to reveal? Must be for a service of God. Why is God does not want? And also, if God does not want, according to one interpretation, even Yaakov did not know, he forgot. According to the second, Yaakov realized God does not want, so he did not reveal it to the sons, but he knew. What's going on here? And finally, the Rebbe is asking, revealing the end of days will cause everyone to let go of the service of God. It will not strengthen the service of God. It will weaken. And therefore, common sense dictates that it shouldn't be revealed. Says the Rabbi, the first answer the Rabbi says, that at the beginning, as the Jewish people are on the bank of the Sea of Reeds praising God after the parting of the sea, they are singing God's praises. Az Yashir Moshe, we say it every day. The end of the singing, we read, Tevi'emo v'tito'emo be'ar nachalatcha machon leshivtecha pa'alta Hashem. You will bring them and you will plant them in your destiny, in the mountain of God, as you have desired and actually did. According to the Kabbalistic interpretation, this part of the praises, the singing, they were referring to the arrival of Moshiach in the Holy Land. The original plan was when they left Egypt on the bank of just crossing the sea, now they're in the desert, they're about to enter in 40 days to the Holy Land, and then Moshiach is going to arrive. 40 years happened after the golden calf. Okay. So right now, what Yaakov wanted to reveal is that it's going to happen. It's going to happen when? Not thousands of years, within 200 years, 300 years. And therefore, they should be excited. That's Yaakov's desire. What's the problem? Let me just...
Problem is that he didn't reveal to Yaakov the end of days.
What?
Problem is that apparently he didn't reveal to Yaakov the end of days. If it was supposed to be when we get into 280 years later, whatever. Because it's obviously thousands of years.
Again, what's the question?
You just said about revealing to Yaakov the end of days is going to happen in a few hundred years. Obviously, it didn't happen. So that he didn't reveal to Yaakov the end of days.
Just a minute. Just wait. Says the Rebbe, what's the big deal of Yaakov desiring to tell them that Moshiach will arrive when they leave Egypt and enter the Holy Land? It was already told to Yaakov. Yaakov was told that the children will go for 400 years and return. And they all knew when they return, Moshiach will arrive. That was the understanding at the time. Says the Rebbe, at the time they thought that it's conditional. When they were told they're going to Egypt and there will be a time they return back to the Holy Land, Moshiach will arrive, it's only if they conduct themselves properly. Yaakov wanted to tell them that this is the ultimate redemption. There will be no exile after that. So in other words, once they enter the Holy Land, Moshiach will arrive. Moshiach is David, and therefore there will be no other exile. However, God did not want to before why God does not want. So therefore Yaakov wanted to show them that when they are going to go back to the Holy Land after 400 years, they will never have exile anymore to live the Holy Land. Says the Rebbe, one can ask if it's going to happen in 400 years, or it's actually happened 210 years later, it does not have any implication on those children of Yaakov, because a man lives 120 years. That's how much they live. In 210 years, they'll be long gone. So what's the motivation to serve God here? What's the purpose of revealing that Moshiach is arriving then? Says the Rebbe that the idea of revealing that Moshiach is about to arrive may motivate them to serve God deeper and better, to make sure that this happen in a better way. Just like the exile for 400 years, because of Koshi Ashibud, because of the enslavement that was extra enslavement to the Jewish people, caused the exile to be shortened from 400 to 210, if anybody is familiar with tradition. God told Abraham it will be 400 years. It's spelled out. At the end, if you count, you found only from Abraham's covenant 210 years. One of the main reasons the reason is because of Avodah Kosher, because Koshi Ashibud. The Egyptians have enslaved them by day and by night over and over above what they were supposed to. So therefore, in 210 years, was included 400 years. Says the Rebbe, perhaps if Yaakov would tell the tribes, the children, that Mashiach is about to arrive when you leave Egypt, even though it's not in their lifetime, it will motivate them to serve God to a higher level. By motivating them to serve God at a higher level, it may excel the arrival of Moshiach because of their conduct. So far, so good. You understand so far? But God did not want it. So either God make him forget, or God hinted to him that that's not the right thing to say. What's wrong? Now we understand why he wanted to reveal to them. Why? He wanted to motivate them to serve God deeper and better, utilize every moment to serve God, so perhaps the redemption can happen a little bit earlier. That's what Yaakov wanted. God comes and says, no. Either God make Yaakov forget or God make Yaakov make sure not to share. And the reason is, this is the Kabbalah and the Rebbe. The Rebbe always finds sources for it, but it's the Rebbe. The Rebbe says that there is two types of service of God. There is one type of service where God is assisting you, or you have assistance. That's not the real work. It's like a child who is under the tutelage of his father and teacher. What they do is not called for real. Whenever you're still a yeshiva boy and you're going to get a fine if you're late, and whenever you fail the test, they're going to say, no, no, no. It's not the real life. Real life begins when you get married and you're able to make your own choices and you get up on time and you show up to Minyan and you.
Question. And we
Yes.
draw inference that Moshe went up to right before Israel crossed into the Jordan, into Jericho. He was also shown the rest end of days because God.
Who?
Moshe.
Moshe.
Right,
Okay.
until the end. So at that time, would have been wonderful. Moshe would have exhorted to do that. Moshiach can come up.
Here, so this is what we're studying. Right now, before Moshe is a whole different discussion. Right now, what Yaakov wanted to reveal is not the end of the ultimate redemption, which is today, which is 3,700 years. He knew that the redemption is, everybody knew, it wasn't a secret, by the way, that the redemption is going to happen when they leave Egypt and they enter the Holy Land, until they messed up in the desert. And then Moshiach will arrive. The problem, what they didn't know is that was it the ultimate without any change, or there is a condition as long as they behave. Yaakov wanted to reveal to them that when they enter the Holy Land, it will be the ultimate redemption, and there will be never, ever any trouble or strife between the Jews and God. God does not want them to reveal it, even though it's soon to be just 200 years later, or 300 or 400, 350. At first it was 350, later it got shortened based on the enslavement. Because even though it has no direct impact on the children, because they're not going to live that long. However, by knowing that, they will excel in their service of God. And by doing so, they may even make it happen sooner. Says the Rebbe, God did not want it, because that's called serving God with help from above. If you serve God for being motivated for the reward, being motivated for the outcome, which is outside of serving God for the sake of serving God, it's not a proper service of God. And I use an example, a child that is born and goes to yeshiva. The Rebbe Rashab, the fifth Lubavitcher Rebbe said, I do not trust a yeshiva boy until after he's married. And today it's so simple, because they look like Rosh Tzadikim, yeshiva boys. They score in test well, they come on time. What happened after you get married? Let's check, let's come back to you 6 months, 9 months later and see, are you on time in shul? Do you study before you start davening? Do you stay in shul a little longer? Are you kind to others? Now you don't have the fear of the Rosh Yeshiva or of the parent, because they have no clue where you are and what you do. By the way, when I got married, I wasn't ordained as a rabbi, because they don't allow, today it's different. In my time, they do not allow you to take the tests more than 2 a year. I had to take 4 tests, but they don't allow you to study for the test until the last year when you're on shlichut, because they want you to deal with the community. Today, they motivated my sons, Zev and Baruch. They told him, if you stay another year, Zev stayed an extra year in Venezuela. So what's the reward they gave him? That they will allow him to study for tests in 1 year and finish, and teach him how to slaughter animals. And that's what they did for him. So it's the exact opposite. In my time, they don't let you start studying until your last year. Meaning, after that, you have a whole year even though you know your main study material, but you can't take more than 2 tests. And by the way, today there are 5 tests, not 4. But one of the tests that was the most complex one, they removed. They don't test today. Instead, they added Shabbat. But let's go back to my time. But I needed to take care of it because I'm married, and I needed to be a rabbi. I don't care if they call me rabbi or not, but in a community I serve, I have to be ordained.
Yes.
So I called the rabbi in Queens, Rabbi Pikarski. He had a shul in Queens. He is the dean of the yeshiva. And he says there is a group. He used to come to yeshiva to test us. In 1987, when I got the first 2 tests, he was in yeshiva. He took us to a room, a group of like 25, 30, and he tested us. Second time, 1988, when I got married, he already would not come to yeshiva that often. He would come like once or twice a month. So he says, come to my synagogue in Queens. Service begins, I believe, at 7:30, 8:30, 8:45, come and I'll test you in my shul. So we needed to get a car, someone to do us a favor. We couldn't afford a taxi, there is no Uber. And we traveled to Queens. So we found a man that was driving to that area. We were 4 boys. We crammed into his car and he took us. On the way back, I think we took trains or whatever. Anyway, we come back. So we got tested and we come back. It's already 10 o'clock, 10:30. Inside the yeshiva, they're already studying. Outside the yeshiva, we just got out of the car. So we're socializing, still discussing the questions, because he was not only asking a question for an answer, he wanted to continue the discussion. So if you gave him the right answer or not, it didn't matter. He would continue on to compare it and bring it to a day-to-day life. So we're talking outside 770. Now, remember, I'm already married. The mashpia, the spiritual leader of the yeshiva, Rabbi Sholem Morozov, he was a lofty man. He is a cousin of Rivkin. His father and Rivkin's mother were brother and sister. So Sholem Morozov walked by and he sees, so the other 3 boys ran to yeshiva. My classmates, we were buddies, but I was married already. And I stood there. So he turned to me and he says, what are you doing here in the middle of the Seder, in the middle of studying? I says, Rabbi, I'm already married. She says, no, so what? I said, I'm married. I just came back from a test. He said, it doesn't mean you can stand here and do nothing. Either you go to the kollel, you know the place, go home, go shopping, go daven. He says, you can't be standing here doing nothing. And I was laughing. Everybody from far, they watch how he's rebuking me, a married man. This is in Chabad. Back to our discussion. Yaakov wanted to, so to say, hasten the arrival. By revealing that it's imminent and it's not far, it will make them be very careful in the way they serve God, putting an extra effort, and perhaps it will make it even sooner. God said, no, it's not a good idea. Why? Because in order for someone to truly serve God, it has to be on their own. It cannot be with support from an outsider. If you're motivated by a side reason for Moshiach, then the service of God is incomplete. It's not the proper way. That's why God told you, Yaakov, either made Yaakov forget or made Yaakov know that it's not the right thing. Ask the Rebbe, if so, why Yaakov wanted to, if that's the right thing. Says the Rebbe, Yaakov was before, and the Rebbe says, let's take it one step deeper. This is crucial. Why does the Torah tell us that story? The Torah could have omitted the whole story, what Yaakov thought, what God did. They can say Yaakov blessed. Why? Says the Rebbe, this is the most crucial component when it comes to redemption. In other words, serving God, you get reward, no matter why. You can be forced to do it. You can be embarrassed from not doing it. You can be motivated by a great price, by accolades, by whatever it is. There is a reward and there is a place for serving God. So if someone gives tzedakah and his name is all over the place, he did tzedakah. Give him credit. He deserves 100% credit. If someone did it because his mother said, I want you to honor me and he is embarrassed to say no to his mother. He honors his father and mother. If someone is kind to an animal because he loves the animal, he fulfilled the mitzvah. Tzar Baalei Chaim, he fed the animal, he did a mitzvah. Every time you do it, you do a mitzvah. No doubt that when you perform a mitzvah, you are getting rewarded and you please God. However, it is inferior to doing it when it is for God's sake only. If you do it for God's sake only, purely for God, it takes a whole different dimension. And that, by the way, this is very connected to chapter 30 of Tanya, as God willing, those of us who have been to will connect. But what the Rebbe says when it comes to redemption, to come out of exile, to bring Moshiach, to bring the world to the ultimate state God desired it, the most crucial component is not just serving and obeying God. The most crucial component is doing it because God said so. Because a true redemption, where there will be no exile, no other place for making the wrong decision, is only when you serve God for God's sake. If I do it for my mother's sake, if I do it because I love the animals, we call it conditional behavior. Because I have reasons, I get paid for it, I get respect, etc. When Moshiach will arrive, God wants the world to come to an ultimate situation where it will never change again. And my service of God to bring Moshiach, if it's done with conditions, means that the arrival of Moshiach is also conditional. Who says I'm going to continue serving God when Moshiach will be here? I may change my mind. Someone may pay me even more to disobey God. But if I do it for the right cause, meaning to serve God, then we know that the arrival of Moshiach is an ultimate.
Yaakov is doing it incorrectly.
Just a minute for Yaakov. That's the deeper level of God wanted it not to be known to them, because even though by knowing they might hasten it, A, it's not the proper service of God because they do it for a side reason. B, the idea of redemption can only be achieved when someone does it purely because God said so and not because of any side benefit. What's wrong with why Yaakov wanted? Says the Rebbe, because as we started, Yaakov is a chariot of God. He is, in Kabbalistic terminology, atzilut, pure godliness. Never have a motive. Never done it for a side reason. Therefore, for Yaakov, from his standpoint, serving God is always going to be for the right reason, always going to be without any side benefit. He wanted to share with them and impart on them the ability to serve God on his level. And therefore, the commentators say only the tribes, not that they should keep a secret, but he would be able to elevate them to a state of serving God on his level. When they don't do it for the redemption, they don't do it for any side reason, they do it for serving God. God, however, told them, no, they are not ready. They are not there yet. They did not reach that point. One way God made them forget, in other words, God made sure that even Yaakov is not ready for that level. Another way, God told him or hinted to him that it's not the right thing, meaning that as much as he desires to bring him up to his level of Atzilut, they are not there yet. And therefore, it's not the right thing to share with them, because then the service of God that they will do not only will not hasten the arrival of Moshiach, but it will make arrival of Moshiach conditional, as we just studied. Says the Rebbe, however, the fact that Torah tells us that story gives us the strength to serve God in the way God wants for Moshiach to arrive, meaning do it for God's sake and no other reason. And that's why we ask for Moshiach. Part of the reason we ask for Moshiach is it gives us the strength to serve God for God's sake, not for any other reason. And therefore, we need to mention that we have a demand, and that's why it's one of the foundations of the Torah. And as long as Mashiach is not here, we have to ask God how long. In other words, we connect to God, and that enables us or empowers us to serve God for the right reason, which is the ultimate serving God, pleasing God, so it brings Moshiach. And that's the lesson from this week's portion about Yaakov, desire to reveal the end of days, when will Moshiach will arrive, and God made him not revealed. Thank you so much, and have a good Shabbos.